What's up, everyone? It's Brian from the Exact IT and Cybersecurity YouTube channel. Welcome to our video today, where we're going to get into FBI Director Christopher Wray and his warnings that he's been out there kind of in the last 6 months out there telling people that the Chinese government and Chinese nation state hackers are poised to strike our country at any moment. So let me get into why he's talking about this, what he could potentially be talking about, and how devastating it could be if what he is saying actually happens in today's video.
The CCP's dangerous actions, China's multi-pronged assault on our national and economic security, make it the defining threat of our generation.
Christopher Wray, the FBI Director of the United States, is sounding the alarm bells more frequently than ever about potential Chinese critical infrastructure hack. The U.S. has 16 critical infrastructure sectors that they look at and consider to be highly sensitive areas. These are areas that are both in government and in private. Think about Colonial Pipeline and the oil industry. They are part of this. Water facilities, all kinds of different sectors, healthcare, obviously government, state, local, federal government, police, law enforcement. These are all part of critical infrastructure industries, chemicals, gas, you name it. You can look these up online. We can provide links down below in the description. You get the idea. Director Wray is seriously concerned about what is going on with Chinese hackers. What it seems to be to the FBI is that they are positioning themselves to strike and strike hard when it comes to the critical infrastructure of our government and our private industry and their computer network.
China's hackers are positioning on American infrastructure in preparation to wreak havoc and cause real-world harm to American citizens and communities.
While we are very much in tune to the fact that there are tons of vulnerabilities out there, and these vulnerabilities can cause problems and can allow hackers to get in, what's peculiar to me is the fact that Director Wray in the last 6 months, this is basically all the man's been talking about, and there's a reason for it. The FBI doesn't come out and say things multiple times over and over because they feel like it or because they want to put FUD or fear, uncertainty, and doubt into people. They're seeing things being exploited. When they get involved in investigations, they are seeing very specific things that are happening over and over and over, and they're seeing patterns. And unfortunately, for most businesses, for most government entities, and the ones that Director Wray are concerned about, they're in a lot of trouble, and I'm going to explain to you why in this video. Director Wray has been painting a grim picture of the threats facing United States critical infrastructure, and specifically pinpointing Chinese government-linked hackers as the culprits who are basically lying in wait within U.S. critical infrastructure to strike at any moment, and those are his words, not mine. At a recent summit in Nashville, Director Wray outlined the ongoing campaign dubbed Volt Typhoon, which has burrowed into sectors essential to national security, such as telecommunication and energy, highlighting a dire need for vigilance and preparedness. But I'm going to explore this Volt Typhoon a little bit with you, but I'm going to talk about another thing that just came out around another big tech company, Cisco, and a problem that I see with one of their products that could be a bigger problem, and really why Director Wray is sounding the alarm. So watch later in the video to figure out what that is. But even furthermore, it's the things that Wray is getting deeper into and explaining even more that sounds the alarms for me and raises the alarm bells to a higher level than just, we need to watch out for this. And according to Wray, the hackers are not just probing for vulnerabilities. They are strategically positioned to strike, aiming to induce panic and disrupt civilian life at a moment of geopolitical tension, particularly with respect to Taiwan. What he's saying is this isn't just going to impact the U.S., it's going to impact affect other countries as well, but it can be used as a tool when something else happens outside of, say, the technical arena, and something happens maybe in a political arena or a geopolitical arena, that they use this technology and this foothold that they have on these critical infrastructure networks to create more chaos or to make the problem even worse. That's what Director Wray is saying. He believes the purpose of the Chinese having the level of foothold that they have. So essentially, you can think of it this way. When hackers get into your network, they need to get in and they need to exploit vulnerabilities. What Wray is saying is the vulnerabilities are already exploited. Now they just have to attack. Now they just have to pounce. And that's scary if you think about it. They're already there. They're sitting in the network. And Wray is basically saying these companies have no idea that they're there, but we do. We know that they have the technology in place to where they could have been attacked or already have been attacked, or a thing like a backdoor was put in place, which means that they can get back in whenever they want to. So we know Wray has focused in on this Volt Typhoon, but there's a new kind of revelation that I want to bring to your attention around a Cisco vulnerability that has raised my concern, and I think this is going to be a bigger problem for these critical infrastructure sectors than something like Volt Typhoon. What I'm talking about is a new vulnerability released by Cisco known as Arcane Door. And Arcane Door is being exploited by state-backed actors to breach government networks globally. If you know what a firewall is essentially a device, or it could be software that a company or an organization puts in place to separate themselves from the rest of the world or the internet, right? So when you see things like IP addresses, they are essentially what your home address is at your house. It's a location for where your computer equipment, your servers, your data essentially resides. Now, whether you can get to the other side of that firewall or not depends on a lot of things, but most firewalls are set up to prevent that traffic from coming in. Let's just say for this video and all intents and purposes, that's what a firewall does. Well, hackers are able to basically take that software or that hardware device that's put in place to stop you from getting into the network, and hackers are able to exploit the vulnerabilities and get inside your network. That's pretty scary if you think about it. It's kind of like putting locks on your doors or putting a massive security system in place on your home and it just not working, or hackers just being able to figure out like, we can do this one thing and it completely disables all your security equipment that you have in place. So the even scarier part about Arcane Door that Cisco has revealed to everybody in a blog post that we will link in the description so you can read it yourself is that they have no idea how these hackers are exploiting it. They just know that somebody is exploiting something because we can see it when companies are coming to us saying they've had a problem or they've been hacked, and they're looking through things and they're finding these things called indicators of compromise, which are basically fingerprints left behind by the cyber criminals that cyber investigators and forensic people can use to determine if something nefarious went on when they were in there. But at the end of the day, Cisco has basically said that this flaw, if you don't patch it, will allow attackers to eavesdrop on basically everything that goes over your network, and also extract sensitive data completely undetected. So all of the information flowing through your network, basically coming out of your company's internal employees and going out to the internet, emails, websites they visit, files that they share, all this stuff can be intercepted by cyber criminals, and there's not a whole lot you can do about it. What we also know is that businesses are typically slow to react to patching systems. CISA, our own government's wing, cybersecurity wing, just learned this when their Avanti system was hacked, after they put out a bulletin that said everybody in the government needs to update Avanti servers, and that never happened. I did a video on that. You can check that out as well. I also have a really good video on vulnerability management where you can learn about all this stuff and why vulnerabilities are critical to get patched and how you can do that effectively in your organization. The purpose of my video today, folks, is to connect the dots between Director Wray's comments and the specifics of things like Volt Typhoon and Arcane Door exploits, right? We face a larger truth, and that's the landscape of cybersecurity is evolving and businesses are having a hard time keeping up. The cyber criminals and what they can do to your business and how they can do it is outpacing the ability of many organizations to handle and to keep up, and it's going to become a problem. And Director Wray is kind of warning people we're going to have a major issue with our critical infrastructure pretty soon, and it sounds to me, based on how he's talking, that it's pretty much inevitable. There's not a whole lot we can do because we don't have the resources to get them out, and they're already there. This is a very huge and widespread problem. So like I said, the challenge for businesses goes far beyond just patching these vulnerabilities. Yes, that has to be done, but it encompasses a need for a comprehensive strategy that includes the most robust cybersecurity policies. The reason we're even in this position in the first place, why we have to play catch up on getting ahead of these vulnerabilities, is because we're already behind the 8 ball and how we handle these things and fundamentally how we're dealing with these things, and the fact that we even let these big tech companies put out this crap that has all these vulnerabilities that can be exploited by cyber criminals in the first place. Once we start there and we change that, a lot of these problems will go away. But until we get there, businesses need to work on this stuff. They need to put time and effort into robust cybersecurity policies, continuous monitoring to make sure that you don't have people in there and that when they do get in there, you can detect it, and proactive defense mechanisms. What are you going to do? How are you going to shut it down? How are you going to isolate it if something bad happens or a vulnerability comes up? These are all things that your organization should already have figured out well before a vulnerability is announced or you realize you're dealing with a cyber attack. So if you need help with any of this stuff, folks, there's plenty of links down in the description below where you can contact my company, Exact IT, and cybersecurity and get help with this. No reason to struggle through this. There's no reason not to do anything when you have companies like us out there who are ready, willing, and able to help you deal with problems like your firewalls being out of date, which we find all the time when we do things like risk assessments. The question is not if you'll be targeted, when you'll be targeted, and how bad will it be, and do you have the ability to detect it and shut it down early and respond appropriately? Strengthening our cyber defenses is not just a task for individuals, it's a task for companies, it's a task for governments, it's a task for everybody. Our federal government, our president, has put a mandate out to secure our data, to secure our country with his cybersecurity strategies and initiatives that the White House put out several years ago. These things are coming to fruition. The things that they put in there, the regulations, the stuff that needs to be done is all happening, but we're still not in a place where we're protected. So unfortunately, we find ourselves in a horrible situation where we know that the enemy is inside the networks, is probably able and willing to strike when they want to. And unfortunately, we may or may not see that day, and hopefully we don't. But if we do, it sounds like it's going to be pretty ugly. So if you can start doing something today, especially if you're in critical infrastructure and you might be watching this video, get help if you don't know how to do this. And if you do, start doing it. Start protecting your firewalls. Get your vulnerability assessments done to see if you have any other vulnerabilities on your network. It's critical. Thank you for watching. If you found this video or analysis enlightening, I'd appreciate a thumbs up and a subscription to this channel. Again, there's links below in the description if you need help with any of this stuff. We'll see you in the next video. Stay safe out there.